No, we've gone live. We're now live. We've gone live straight away. So I better keep saying hi.
Okay,
This is
doke.
TFC July. Sorry about the late start. It's just me and myself in this morning. Ellie may be joining us in a while. Dermot's laid up today. And we're just going to have a quick chat about a couple of things. One, the last night's game between France and Morocco, which is now confirmed that Tottenham have two players in opposing sides in the World Cup final on Sunday. And we're having a chat about that. And also, Mia has got some injury news for the players that may not be ready for us to play for us come Brentford on the 26th of December. So anyway, start. How are you this morning, Mia?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I had quite a busy morning.
Yeah, we've very -5 here at the moment, so it's not much you can do really. I'm sort of stuck in the house all day. But anyway, let's get on with it. We'll just
Wow.
start with last night's match between France and Morocco, which I think everybody is of the opinion Morocco really did give a good account of themselves. They played really well and had France on the back foot for good times, good portions of that game. And I think it was just France's greater experience that probably got them through in the end. And but then again, Hugo Lloris had to make one very vital save in the game. So if that had gone in, that game could have been switched on its head because that would have leveled it up just coming up to half time. So again, Hugo had a good game last night, and not that he had that much to do. But now he's going to be up against Cutie Romero in the final, which could be very interesting. And I think
Yeah.
Romero is one of the unsung heroes of the Argentine performances so far. He's been really, really good. And my only worry about Romero is that we mightn't see him for a month after the final if Argentina win. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's the only thing, isn't it? We don't know, obviously, what's going to happen if he does win it. He might go a bit AWOL, and that wouldn't be good. So, yeah, we don't really want our players to start going off on some mad thing, especially because we really need him. We really need Romero back in the team.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'd be very
I think he went
disappointed if he
missing
went off
before the World Cup,
didn't,
so the chances are he might do the same again after it. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But I suppose on a more positive front, two more of our players came back yesterday to training. Heung-min Son and Papa Mata Sarr, who did reasonably well in the short times he got on for Senegal. So maybe we might see something of him coming in the new year. Might get a game or two, especially with Bentancur not going to be fit, suspended and then not fit for a while. But so that brings us on to what injuries have you noted the team have at the moment, Mia?
Well, we obviously have Richarlison. He came back and straight away had an injury, so obviously that's a bit of a blow, especially as he probably played like fairly good at the World Cup. So it was, it's a bit of a shame that he isn't going to come back so soon.
Yeah, I think he also went away and got a. Did
And
you see the
obviously,
tattoo he got on his back? Did you see the picture of the new tattoo he
yeah,
got?
so
There's no
yeah,
room
I
left
did
for
see
anything else
that.
there, I think. But anyway, yeah, he'll be a miss. Who else is
Yes.
doubtful for the Brentford match?
Obviously, Benton Core's got his muscle tear, so he's going to miss the game, but he's suspended anyway. So
Yeah,
actually,
right.
that gives him an opportunity to sort of recover. And they're saying that he could be available for New Year's Day. So obviously, that's a plus that he will be maybe ready quite soon. Ben
Yeah,
Davies is out. We know that he's had an injury, painful oblique muscle in his abdominal area, which is very painful. That can't be a nice one. Then we've got a few more, I think, that are still like, obviously Son isn't 100%. He'll wear his mask, but he's still going to play. But he obviously
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
100%. So obviously that's a bit of a bummer, but hopefully he'll get back to full strength soon. And I think there are, say, maybe obviously like Lucas Moura. I think he might be
hmm
injured still. But we also got a bit of a funny time coming up as well, because players, if we be loaned or sold, we don't want them to get injured. So obviously that's another thing, is trying to maybe maybe not play certain players because they're going to obviously be maybe prone to injury, and we don't want that if we're going to try and sell them in January.
That's true. That's true. I think Harry Winks, being a case in point, I think he's only just been able to train without pain in the last few days. So I think Sampdoria are kind of hopeful that he'll be able to go back to them and make an impression in the next part of the season. Hopefully, then they'll buy him off us come the summer. And what you call him, Troy Parrott, got a bad injury playing for Preston there. So I don't know where he is at the minute, whether he's come back or he's still on loan with Preston or he's come back to the club. And I think we've got a little bit of a worry too, because the fact that we do have two players in the World Cup final. When are we going to see Hugo back? Because if they win the match on Sunday, they're going to have to do a lap of honour in Paris probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, so he might not be back at all for the Brentford match.
Yeah, but then I don't know if that's a bad thing, because a lot of people are saying that though he's not had an awful World Cup, he hasn't been that great for us. So would we be that bummed about that, or would we not think that
he's had a very, very good World Cup. I think the worry is he'll come back and take out all the mistakes on us when he gets back. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
He didn't put a foot wrong during the World Cup, but you know, can he keep that up when he comes back to play us? But then again, what's the alternative? We have Fraser Foster. It must be champing at the bit now to get a game or two, you know.
Yeah,
so, the way it's looking, I can see us playing with a bit of a cobbled up team against Brentford.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that Brentford game's going to be a bit of like a put together team, like a bit of like a here, oh, you can play, because obviously we haven't got players that are back because of injury and obviously suspension as well. There's a lot of factors. Also, I think there was something said about CONTE allowing every player to have a certain amount of rest when they've come back from the World Cup. So that means that some of these players that are just coming back won't have a chance to rest. And apparently he is going to let every player get that rest. So some players he might not select because of that as well, because he's promised them to have a bit of a rest.
Yeah. Well, true enough, yeah. But the players that were knocked out of the World Cup early on, the likes of Højbjerg and so on, they should be fresh enough. I mean, they would have had a week off and now they're back in training. Harry Kane is the one that worries me a bit, because when he comes back on Monday, I think the first thing Conte is going to do is sit him down and have a chat with him. No doubt have one of the club psychologists in the room with him, just to see where his state of mind is. Because I mean, what Harry went through in the last week or so, he wouldn't want anyone to suffer it. He's been through hell after missing that penalty. And I know he's a strong lad and he's mentally very strong, but I just don't know how this is going to affect him going forward. You know, it'll one of two ways. He'll go into his shell and forget where the goal is, or he'll go absolutely mad and score a hatful. Now, obviously, I hope it's going to be the latter. But I think Conte will have to have got a decision to make whether to play him against Brentford. Do you throw him straight back in an away match when the fans are going to be on his back from the minute he gets on the pitch? Or do you wait until the Villa game, which is at home, where he can be assured of 90% of the fans will be behind him anyway, you know? So it's a tricky one that to call. But anyway, Carl Simpson saying good afternoon, both. Good afternoon, Carl.
Good afternoon, Carl.
And also, Carl is just carry on with another comment here where he says Lloris will come back and his distribution will be awful again. That's one thing I noticed in the World Cup. His distribution was much, much better. You see that, you know, he was actually finding his players with the ball. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
Maybe they feed him loads of croissants, and that's why. Maybe we need to give him more French stuff. Maybe.
And Ellie's saying we are after 4 strikers. Now that is not going to happen. That's for sure. Laura Martin is very interesting. We've once again been linked. We were linked with him back in June, and I don't honestly see our priority at the minute is defenders. We don't need attackers. We have enough of them. So we need to get the priorities right there and go for a centre back and a wing back and possibly a James Maddison type player. But we'll see what happens there, you know.
Yeah, we don't need anybody in our striking force. I think even the midfielder, to be honest with you, I think the first thing we need to sort out is that defence.
The defence is the priority. I mean, I've seen in the paper in the last couple of days where Conte is supposed to have lost patience with Emerson Royal. I mean, that's been a common theme since the start of the season, really. But now is the time, come January, to replace him if we can, you know. Like I watched Jed Spence playing against Motherwell there, and Jed Spence was pretty good. I don't see why Jed Spence couldn't be given a run just to see how he gets on, you know.
Yeah, Well, I'd like to think that he is going to try maybe and put him in, because obviously now this is just not working. So we can't have the two micro penises anymore. We need to give Jed Spence a chance.
Yeah, yeah. But I think, I'm not going to mention the Dyer word because that's been flogged to death over the last couple of weeks.
Oh,
It's been obsessive really by Eric Dyer. But like, I do think we will get a good centre half in. I mean, I've heard talk of Harry Maguire coming. Oh, what would be your views on Harry Maguire coming to Tottenham?
do you know what? I'm really unsure. I'm really unsure about him, because he obviously, maybe it's the Man United team, the pressure, because he was paid for like big money to come to Man United. And I wonder if there'll be maybe less pressure with us, because for England, he doesn't actually do that bad.
No.
So I don't think he's that awful. I just think that maybe for Man United, there's a hell of a lot more pressure on him. So maybe if he come to us, it might be different. And the thing I feel like is, if Conte wants him, then I will back that. As long as
Yeah.
Conte wants him, I'm happy. But if Conte doesn't want him, I'm not going to be happy.
I think Harry Maguire didn't go from being a decent centre back to a liability overnight. It's the Manchester United situation that's put him in this position. I mean, it's a real shit show up there at the minute, and especially with Ronaldo, where Ronaldo was throwing his toys out of the pram. So Harry Maguire was one of England's best players in the World Cup. He didn't put a foot wrong the entire any of the games he played in. So I'd be happy, as you say, if Conte wants him and we're able to afford it, because remember, he cost 80 million when he went to United. So he's not going to come
Yeah.
cheap. Now, his price has probably gone down because of recent events, but yeah, I would actually take Maguire, and because he's a decent player, behind it all, he really is. And there's Ellie
Yeah, no,
saying
I think so.
that's what defense is the best form of a defense. Dyer can't. Now we're not allowed to mention Dyer. He who should not be named can't defend, so we were a man down carrying him. And there are others like Davis who hasn't kept up what he did last season. Be obsessive, and then Carl Simpson comes along to reply and says, "No Dyer. That name is not allowed." On Maguire, I would take him. He would get onto Perisic and Decky crosses. Yeah, and that's one thing I noticed too. If we can get Perisic putting in the crosses he was putting in the World Cup on the left and Decky on the right, we do need someone in the middle or for corners and free kicks to put a hit. Maguire is a very good guy on set pieces, so yeah, possibly.
He's got a really good forehead, because he's got a big slab head, so he's got plenty to
Yes,
work
yeah,
with.
he has. And then Ellie again. Davis is half the player he was last season. Good squad player. I'll always say that. He's
Yeah.
not a he's not a first team starter, but he's a
He's
squad
a
player.
I think as well, people lump him in with the likes of Sanchez and Emerson and the person who can't be named. But I don't think he's that bad. I just think that he's just a squad player. He is what he is. Just like he's a bit vanilla. He's nothing special, nothing fancy, nothing, but he's all right. If you really want some ice cream and there's nothing else in the freezer, you'll eat the vanilla ice cream.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Whereas we want the cream caramel ones, really, don't we?
well, yeah,
And
obviously we do, but as a backup, he'll do.
that's Ellie's saying her phone is down, so she can't get on. Okay. Now, there's something else I was to say about the upcoming game against Brentford. Yeah, because of the bad feeling, really, is all you can say. It is, and comments and some of the memes on Twitter about Harry Kane are absolutely disgusting. And I hope the people that put them up were banned from Twitter for life. But then again, the way Elon Musk is going on, he's probably going to give him a promotion. Do you think Harry Kane is going to get a bad time when he turns up at Brentford if he plays?
Um, I don't know if he will, because I think that the Brentford fans, will they, like the England ones, they've got no real fight in the dog. Like, they've got no reason to dislike Harry Kane. Like, they really haven't. Where I feel like the bigger rival ones, they're the ones who are on his back much more. So I just don't think they will. I think that it'll be like maybe a little bit jeering here and there, but the Spurs away fans can make themselves really
Yeah,
loud. I've heard them away, they can be very loud. So all you do is drown them out with "he's one of our own,"
yeah,
and
yeah.
Harry will hear that. So
But the ground only holds 10,000 or 12,000 that place, so our fans will be 2,000. So yeah, I take your point. I think the Brentford fans wouldn't be unlike the Arsenal fans who, if you remember back when Saka missed the penalty, the Spurs fans gave him a standing ovation when they saw him, and trying to,
yeah,
they put their country before their club. I saw a post from the Arsenal fans there, let's give Harry Kane hell when he comes to the Emirates. Just shows you the difference in class between the Spurs fans and the Arsenal fans. They have
Yeah.
no class, we have. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see, A, if Harry Kane actually plays, if he's in the right frame of mind, and B, I have a feeling that I want to see him come back against Villa on New Year's Day at White Hart Lane or Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and to see the love that we're going to give him that day when he comes back. Because, I mean, the England fans seem to have forgotten that without Harry Kane, they wouldn't even be in the World Cup final with his goals.
I know.
So, it's very short memory. And the poor lad, as England captain, he should be not so adored, but he should be respected in countrywide, but he's not. And that's one of the real mysteries of this game, why people don't like Harry Kane. I really don't. He's one goal away from beating Wayne Rooney's record, and in 40 matches less than Wayne Rooney took. So it's absolutely incredible. But
He
anyway.
is incredible. I do think, though, people, there's those negative people are very, like, when you look at the bigger picture, they're just people on the internet. I think that there's been a lot of support for Harry, and I think he will have a lot of good people around him giving him positive, like, praise, and I think he'll be all right, because I do think there's going to be a lot more support for him than maybe, because the thing is, Twitter's just a cesspit of people, so, like, they're not actually speaking for the majority of people.
That's true. Very true. Yeah. Well, I think Carl Simpson probably says it right there. He says, I think Kane will be okay. A lot of the level-headed football fans have said it was just pot luck taking penalties. But do you know what I watched yesterday? I'm sitting here watching nothing to do for a couple of hours, and I watched a rerun of the Frankfurt match, in the home Frankfurt game that we won 3-2. And do you remember in that game, he scored a penalty in the first half, and in injury time, then Brian Hill was brought down. He got another penalty, and he did exactly the same as he did in Qatar. Blazed it over the bar. So I think maybe the moral of the story is, maybe if it's a second penalty in the match, maybe let Son take it.
Yeah, I do think second pens are very difficult to take if you haven't got that bottle to do it.
They
like
are.
that final thing where you're thinking, I can do this, because you've already taken one, and don't overthink it. I think he overthinked it. I think that's what happened.
I think that was it. But the look on his face when he went over, and at the end of the match, I really cried for the lad. He was just so distraught that he let his country down. And I must say, fair play to Jordan Pickford for not letting the cameraman get that close to him. Tell him to bugger off. That the England team got behind him, because I know they all play for different clubs, but every one of those England players is a Harry Kane fan. They love him as a captain, and they showed the support for him after the game. So. Let me see, is there anything else? This is just going to be a quick, short program today, lads, because I think the real news is going to start next week when the Spurs team are back in training, ready for action on Stevens' Day against Boxing Day, as we call it in England, against Brentford away. And just want to ask anyone, we've got a banner running there. We're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers on the channel here. And if you like what you see here, just go into the link and click on subscribe, and we will get you on the fan shows, get to be able to express your views, and we'll have a bit of fun now in the close season, in the second part of the season, I should say, and hopefully that the channel will progress as Tottenham will progress. We'll keep our top 4 place and hopefully go further, because I think the second half of the season is going to be a lot more entertaining than the first. Well, I hope that anyway. That CONTE has kept something in reserve, and we also get the new players in to bolster up the squad that we need. So, Mia, have you anything else to say there before we close it up?
No, not that I can think of. Like you say, a lot of the news is as well. The problem is that there's a lot of news around, but a lot of it is just gossip. It's like, idle gossip. It's just, we're linked to this player, linked to that player. It's better to really think about, like, sources that you kind of you talk about, because for me, there's no point of us discussing something that's just so out there and ridiculous, because there is so much of it, and there's going to be a lot of that with the transfer rumours. So I would say stick with this channel, because we're going to be giving you actual news. We're not going to be bringing you some random crazy people that just said on the internet that Son's going to somewhere else. Like, we're going to bring true sources, because I think that's really important to actually like look into your sources.
I think the best one this morning was Bentancur to Liverpool in January. I thought that was absolutely, I'd love to know what drugs that fella wrote that is on, because I mean that is just absolute rubbish, I mean
That's what I'm
they're
saying.
digging, and Son was going to they were signing some guy from Italy I never even heard of, but they wanted Richarlison or Son in part exchange. A part exchange fella that we never heard of. Come on.
Yeah,
Anyway, I'll
it's
just read
just
this
silly,
last few
like I
comments
say.
before we close off. Ellie says, Harry is one of our own, and my friend Dino, who's an Arsenal fan, does respect him, but recognises that he turns up for the North London derby too. Well, Harry usually does score against Arsenal, so let's hope he does a couple of times at home on the 15th of January. Ellie says he overthought it. Yeah, well, he suppose he did overthink the penalty. And Carl Simpson's last comment is, I actually think in the next week we will sign 2 ready for the first day of the window. Just a feeling. Well, hopefully we do. Hopefully we do. We don't want to leave it till the end of the window. We want to get them in early. And Elliot's just saying there, Benny doesn't like Klopp. Yeah, true enough.
Well, who does? He just
Who
moans
does?
when the grass is too long, the wind blows the wrong way. I've never known someone to moan so much in my life.
That's it. Anyway, listen, we're going to wrap it up there. Mia, thanks for coming on at short notice to stand in there. And we'll be back. We'll be keep an eye on the schedule on YouTube. We have programs, history program. The second part of the history program will be going out now on Monday night when we cover the period, the golden years of Tottenham from 1946 through the Birkinshaw, the Nicholson years, the Birkinshaw years, or the start of the Birkinshaw years in 1974-75. So until then, listen, thanks, Mia, for helping out there. And come on, you Spurs.